Shining Force was released in 1992 for the Sega Genesis. The game starts out with a little elf girl reading you a book and telling you about someone named Dark Dragon, possibly coming back. From here, you name yourself. Being as my guy looked like that, I named him Not Link, because he looked like Link. A name I regretted immediately after I saw how poorly it fit. So anyway, I'm outside training when I meet Lo. He greets me at the door. The king sends for the knight I was training with, and I'm free to explore the village. All villages in Shining Force are similar. They all have a priest who can get rid of curses, promote your characters, revive fallen characters, and most importantly, save your game. There's always a weapon shop and an item shop as well, and a base for your Shining Force members once you are out on the road. Those are the things each town has. Well, at least most of them. The rest of the town is completely unique for you to explore. And towns are filled with NPCs to talk to, and sometimes contain hidden items if you search around. Anyway, so as Not Link, I explore the town. I also meet an old dwarf man named Gort, who tells me he used to be a warrior, but he's done doing that kind of thing. I leave the dwarf to his drinking and I head to a castle. I see the king and I also meet Nova, a dog-like man who seems to advise the king. The king tells me we guard a gate for centuries, but now some evil might be at the gate, so he wants me to gather forces and investigate. No need to gather said troops though, as they come running to you. Luke the warrior? And what a dumbass looking warrior he is. Ken the knight, a centaur. Tao, the witchy mage. And Hans, the elven archer, all join my force. Nova will also join you as sort of like a team manager to give you tips and help you pick your team, but Nova cannot be picked for your team. Lo, who talked to us earlier, also joins. He is a healer, and even though he looks like a kid in his photo, his sprite looks like an old man to me. Now, even though I have a healer, I like to equip all my men with healing herbs in case the healer can't reach them in time. From there, I reach a travel map. I move past the castle and head to this tiny house where I meet a monk named Gong, and now I have 2 healers. I also meet a gopher named Jogurt, and Jogurt you can unlock, but he's a joke character. He's the worst character in the game, and to be honest, I accidentally missed my chance to unlock him on this playthrough, but that's okay because he's not helpful. At last we hit a battle. The way the battle system works is it's turn-based. Each character can move a certain amount of spaces based on the speed and the terrain. Most characters must be right up close to an enemy to attack, but some characters can attack from slightly further away. The enemies also attack you back, and it's all a matter of strategy. Your main character, in this case, mine is named Not Link, can attack close, but if he dies, the whole team loses. Also keep in mind, in many battles your opponents may have a leader too, and if you kill their leader, they lose. Not Link also has Egress, a very important spell that teleports him from a battle to the nearest town priest. This is important because often in Shining Force you have to grind. I often play a level twice, almost all the way through, use Egress to prepare one last time, then fight the fight all the way. It's important to level up your main character though. I didn't realize the first time I had played and had to hide him a lot so I couldn't lose. But then as I progressed, I found out you can't beat the game if you do that. Now Luke is very similar to Link. He has a medium attack and a pretty good defense. Ken can throw a spear from an extra space away and diagonal. Gong can heal, but he's weak in defense and attack. Lo can heal, but he's weak in defense and attack, and both need to be next to the person they want to heal. Tao can use ranged magic to cast fire damage on people, but she is hurt easily. How you play and what characters you choose is up to you in the story. The characters all have strengths and weaknesses, and there's no right or wrong answer. And the game is like a much better, more complicated version of chess that sounds tricky, but I promise you it really isn't, and you can get the hang of it pretty easy. My strategy is to have stronger people in the front and weaker ranged people stand behind them with a healer always nearby. Now that we're done with the characters... Oh wait, I forgot Hans. Hans is an archer, so he shoots far away, but he can die easy too. Alright, now that we're done with the characters, battles can be quick or take 20 minutes. It all depends on the size of the battlefield. I recommend grinding on shorter battles and just beating the bigger maps in one big swoop. Anyway, after those battles, I come back and see that my town has been attacked and it's in ruins. I quickly go to the king, where I meet a villain named Cain. He uses a special sword called the Sword of Darkness to kill a dude I was training with earlier. This causes his daughter May to be upset and attack Cain, and he just knocks her away and teleports off. We rush to the king, but we are too late as he is dying. The king lets us know Cain is after the key to open the gate mentioned earlier, so he sends me to find out why they want that key and hopefully stop them. Before the king dies, he also tells us to tell his daughter, Anri, to stay strong. May then joins your force. May is a centaur like Ken, but she has to be up close to fight. I also talked to Gort, who decides to be a warrior once again now that the town has been destroyed. I didn't find this out till almost the end, but centaurs can be ranged or up close depending on if they have a spear or a jousting stick. I had no idea till almost the end because no other class can change their range, and weapons are class specific. Gort is just like Luke. I also want to briefly say that with every action the characters go through, they do a little animation. It's cool, but sometimes it can make you a little impatient. After the battle, I arrive at a new town. I also meet a witch who tells me my fortune, and it's that I die if I continue my quest. But I'm like, nah, and I still go. This town is very basic, but there's nothing wrong with that. I also stopped by headquarters to check it out for the first time. Your inventory is limited to 4 items per person, so make sure you sell items you don't want and divide items properly among your troops. Also, if you are having trouble progressing, make sure you've talked to everyone. A lot of things won't trigger unless you do. I use a guide for this whenever I get stuck, and also to know what items do, because the game doesn't tell you. You can also accidentally skip over getting characters, like I did with Jogurt, so I try to keep the guide around for that reason as well. When you buy your new weapons, check the stats to make sure you equip them with the more powerful one. Anyway, I go to this town's castle and meet a girl named Chris. I tell the king about the attack and he has me follow him to a trap that is set by Cain. The king is working with Cain out of fear and has me thrown in jail. Chris, who I met earlier, also joins me now, and Chris is a healer just like Lo and Gong. And so the team has more healers than any other class, and frankly you do not need that many healers in this game, so at some point I'm going to replace them. From here, you fight Cain's men. After beating them, you return to the king and he apologizes. The game is broken up into chapters, and chapter 1 ends here. Chapter 2 begins and we have a new town to explore. I spend most of my time here buying things and equipping people. Sometimes you can find rings or other items that can increase your stats, but again, the game doesn't tell you unless you use them. So I always look at a guide to figure out what the item does before even giving it to anyone. This town has a play you can watch about the Shining Force battles, and you can even talk to the actor who plays you, and he thinks it's a shitty role. You also meet an old man and an armadillo in an armored suit that seems to be powered by steam, but not working properly. The steam-powered man is named Guntz. So from here we battle and end up in a city of wizards and witches, a mage university. This is one of the only places I couldn't find a shop, but everything else is here. When we go and talk to their leader, Princess Anri, the king's daughter, we tell her that her dad was killed, and she doesn't take it well and runs off crying. Nova then tells me to go talk to her. Instead, I talk to this girl who tells me the only sane person is someone named Otrant, and everyone else is weird. Walking across the room, I meet Otrant, and I guess she's the sane one? She tells me there's a pool downstairs I need to go to, but that I need an orb of light for it to do anything. She tells me where to find the orb, and I'm off. But then remember I gotta comfort Anri, so I decide not to leave yet. I find myself talking to a mage in front of a boob statue. He tells me he's learning to summon demons. I then watch as he summons his wife by accident. She yells at him and drags him home. It's one of the only wife equals bad jokes I think I've ever laughed at. I then find something called a Domingo egg in a statue and decide to keep it in case it comes in handy later. I then meet a witch who does an experiment on me and turns me into a chicken. From this point, I walk around as a chicken. I even find Anri and she thanks me for turning into a chicken to cheer her up, but then tells me she isn't fond of chickens. So I go on a new quest to become a human, during which I accidentally push a mage down some sort of slide, and he attempts to get up, but fails, claiming he will make it someday. What did he mean by that? Will it take him days? What have I done? Anyway, I find someone who fortunately wants to turn me back into a human. She then asks if I know about Shade Alley. I say no. She tells me. Then she asks me again if I know. I say yes. And she says, "You young people think you know everything." Anyway, I return to Anri as a human, and she joins up with the Shining Force to get revenge for her father's death. I also meet a knight named Arthur. He's doing laundry, and he says he used to battle, but he's not that type anymore. So now I go to get the orb. Anri is a powerful mage, and both her and Tao learn to use not just fire, but to use different levels of it. Like some fire can attack more than one person at the same time, and some fire can attack just one but do a lot of damage. Tao ends up learning a ton of spells that I don't use, but I mainly just use her fire. And Anri will eventually learn Freeze, which is ice magic, and Bolt, which is lightning magic, and she'll get more powerful with them with each level. The mages become some of my most important characters. I can always keep someone in front so no one can hurt them, but when a crowd of enemies is around, they can do damage to multiple enemies in one powerful magic attack, and that's crucial. Also, friendly tip, undead creatures are hurt more by fire than weapons. Anyway, we win and get the orb. Now even though we are about to use the orb, don't ever get rid of it. We have to use this orb a lot in the game. The orb summons this angelic woman who tells us we are a chosen hero to defeat evil, and there's this dude Dark Soul who's after this key to unlock the gate, and that will release a great evil. So we talk to the Sane Lady again, and she's like, "Oh, you are the chosen one." Then we talk to Arthur again. He's like, "Okay, fuck laundry. I'm ready to fight again." And Arthur is a centaur like Luke or May. He eventually learns magic, which is unique for a centaur, but he starts off incredibly weak. Anyway, we go back to the previous town before the Wizard University and talk to the mayor. He says his grandson is missing and he'll give us a boat if we can find him. After some searching, we find him in a circus tent with the witch from earlier that said we would die. She vanishes and leaves us to fight her minions. Now the first time I played Shining Force, I didn't grind and I never leveled up my main character. So this level I got to, I couldn't beat. But on my second attempt playing this game, I had already learned from these mistakes, and this fight wasn't so bad. This is my third time playing this game. Every boss you fight will heal every certain amount of turns. The key to beating them is to hit them hard and fast so they don't have a lot of time to heal. I used Arthur in this battle and he did awful every time. often missing his attacks, doing light amount of damage, or just getting badly damaged by enemies. So you save the mayor's kid and get on your new boat, but then the witch appears again and burns your boat down, causing it to sink. The mayor's like, well, I don't got another boat. You'll have to go to a different town and find one. So you head to Shade Alley, 'cause young people know everything. The music here is sad, and you meet a bird man named Amon. The town seems mostly empty, and everyone who talks to you seems weird and confused. You even find a kid in a basement of coffins not knowing where he is. You also find a bunch of dug up graves. As you enter the church, everyone in the town follows you inside, and a birdman named Balboroy tells you it's a trap. And boom, we are introduced to our bad guy, Dark Soul. Dark Soul reveals all those people were already killed by him, and he turned them into zombies and skeletons who just had strange cloaks on them to appear human to me. He then vanishes, leaving me to fight the entire town. After beating them, both Birdman, Amon, and Balboroy join my force, and Chapter 2 is over. Chapter 3 begins with a town on the mountainside. The town's men have all been taken and forced to work in a quarry. I also hear of a werewolf named Zygo, who is crazy right now, but he can be cured if I can find an ingredient. And I've hit my team limit of who I can take, so now I need to leave people home. I take Amon and Balboroy since they're new, and I leave Chris because I have enough healers, and I leave Hans because his attacks are not coming with enough damage. I thought about replacing Arthur, but I haven't had him long enough and I want to give him a shot. Now, just because I did this doesn't mean you have to. There's no right or wrong team. You pick who fits you best. I was just judging based purely off how I felt they were performing in my battles. There could be a far better team than the one I end up with. By this point, I also have some people who are level 10, and you can promote at level 10. Some people say to wait longer, some people say level 10 is fine. I just started promoting at level 10. When you promote your characters, your stats will get weaker, but the offset is, as they level up, they will become far more powerful than if you didn't promote. Plus, you have to promote to equip some items, and you can't beat the game without those items. Promoting changes the character's appearance and battle animations. You have to see a priest do this. I also meet a new archer named Diane. She informs me all the men are being forced to work in the quarry to look for a weapon. Then she joins my force. And now that I have her, I want to test her out. So sorry, Arthur, but she's taking your spot. At this point, the only people I feel certain I won't replace are Tao and Anri. Their magic damage is just so helpful, and when promoted, they didn't feel much weaker to start off, making me rely on them even more while trying to level up my currently weaker promoted characters. Diane did fine. She just seemed like Hans, but with more damage. And Balboroy and Amon flying meant terrain affected them not at all, and they could go anywhere, which was awesome. The drawback being they also felt kinda weak and died easy. With the battle over, I have the ingredient to make Xylo the werewolf not insane anymore. Also, the men from the quarry are freed. I meet this old man named Kokaichi, who could join the Shining Force, but I somehow missed whatever it was I needed to do to trigger that. And that's my fault for only following the guide loosely. But he is the last character I miss, and I get every other character from this point on my side. I give Xylo the ingredient, and he becomes sane and joins my team. Having beat this game before years ago, I can say Xylo is one of the most powerful characters in the game, so I knew I wanted him on my side. I replaced Gong, as I already had Lo, as my healer, and I really only needed one healer. Now Xylo can move far and does a lot of damage, so I was right. He was one of my top fighters. After winning the battle, we find a centaur arguing with villains saying he wants out. A battle ensues, and it's pretty lame. This battle has a robot laser eye, which is the first robot thing we see, but not the last. The robots are kind of like these ancient races machines that are now lost, so I guess it's fine. Anyway, this robot laser eye has a timer that will fire upon everyone in its way when it goes off until it's destroyed. After the fight, the centaur we saw earlier climbs back up the mountain and says he caught a branch, climbed up, and wants to join our side. His name is Peli? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But that ends chapter 3. We are now in a town that's mobile. Every shop, every home, it's all on wheels, making a new stop every day. We meet General Elliot, who is our enemy. He says he respects me, but we will fight soon and he will kill me. He doesn't agree with his king, but he is loyal to the king right now, and his king is working with Dark Soul. We also meet Ernest, a centaur who wants revenge because his town was destroyed. We then meet another centaur named Vankar, and I must not have talked to enough people because I know nothing about him, but he joins the team. So I replace both my flying boys with the two new centaurs, Peli and Vankar, both of who I feel no connection to but want to test in battle. I find them to be fine, nothing I'm blown away by, but fine. After defeating Elliot, he has me promise I'll defeat Dark Soul for him. Then he dies. Gunts, the steam armadillo man, finds us in the moving town and joins our team. He was just chilling with some sheep. I replaced Diane with Gunts, as I was finding archers to be one of my weaker classes. We also learned that Ernest heard I defeated Elliot and went to attack a boss dude on his own. We also meet someone in the city that asks to hatch our egg, and inside was this octopus squid thing named Domingo. Domingo can fly and has freeze magic and stat boosting magic. He quickly becomes a favorite of mine and replaced Vankar with him, because I don't need 4 centaurs. Gunts was really slow. Really slow. He didn't get to do much of any fighting on this battle, and when he did, he wasn't the most effective. We find Ernest, who kicks some ass, but he didn't fight the boss guy like he wanted, so he joins our team. Now he seems badass, but his name is Ernest. So, I don't know. I leave Guns behind because he was too slow, and now I'm back to 4 centaurs. Ernest turned out to be meh. After beating the boss man, he begs for his life. I say no, because I want to kill him, but it leads to an endless loop of him begging for his life. So finally I say yes. And I hate that, because I just killed 20 dudes to get to him. Why would I care about sparing him? Anyway, so I spare him, then Dark Soul uses some kind of magic to kill him anyway. And finally, we get to a boat to travel again. This ends chapter 4. Chapter 5 starts off with us being attacked and taking some damages. We meet a mermaid who takes us to a town where humans and mermaids coexist, and you have to use tiny boats to get around. The king also runs a shop here. As he says, there's no law that a king can't have a shop here, and he offers to fix our ship. At some point, a strong current pulls me away to a tiny island where a strange structure was built. It teleports me inside where I follow a skeleton, and again end up in a battle, stopping their ritual. So anyway, Tao just basically wipes out everyone single-handedly. After winning, we hear the angel from the pool tell us this way is important and sacred, and she'll open it for us. But then the structure begins to collapse, and our way becomes blocked, forcing us to flee. She tells us Dark Soul must be stopped. He needs a key and a manual to break the seal and summon Dark Dragon, and we gotta stop him before he gets those things. So then the king scares us with a joke about the ship's cost, and then we leave. So we end up in another battle. Forgot to mention low can heal characters if they are poisoned, and so can priests, or antidotes from shops. Anyway, the ship is damaged again, and after that battle, that ends Chapter 5. Chapter 6. We wake up in a town of only children. Most of the adults are gone, a few of the kids stayed behind, but not many. These kids take care of a baby dragon named Blue. We also meet Lyle, a man with a bazooka who gives no backstory and is just like, "You have a team, I'm in," and I replace him with Ernest. Turns out Lyle has a big range, but very light damage. The bazooka squirts water, I think. I meet Blue, and he's scared and hiding. He tells me he isn't confident in himself, but he will join my team. I replace Lyle. I meet up with Kane, who tells me to prepare for my last fight. I prepare in less than 10 seconds, and he says, "Ha! I knew you couldn't hide forever." Blue is promoted, and he's much more confident now, but he still isn't very good, which is weird because I remember him being good. We beat Kane, and I guess his mask broke, and Dark Soul was using the mask to control him. We get stuck at a door that will only open for 2 heroes, so Kane joins me as the second hero. Dark Soul appears, and him and Kane fight, while I'm forced to leave. Dark Soul has the manual now. I am then provided a bunch of information that is imperative to the game by this little girl, and it happens so fast, I didn't realize it's important till after. Dark Soul needs a manual to break the seal. Knew that. She tells me about a sword called Chaos Breaker, but here's the important part I missed. When the sword is used at the westernmost point of the land, the castle of the ancients will rise from the depths of the sea. So we venture off and kill that witch who burned down our boat earlier, and there we find the Sword of Light, a powerful weapon needed to create Chaos Breaker, and with that, Chapter 6 ends and Chapter 7 begins. From here, we end up in a town of idiots who only think about food. And I just gotta complain about NPCs right now. If they are in your way, you have to wait, and they can be so stupid while you wait for them to move. Anyway, we tell the king of this town why we're here and about Dark Soul. He claims we're just lying spies and throws us in jail. Then some dude who's lost is like, "Oh hey, let me let you out." So we go back to the king and he's like, "Yeah, Dark Soul just killed some of my men, you were right, he is a bad guy." The king also reveals Kane is there and he's injured. We also find a sign that unlocks a hidden character, Musashi. Musashi is a samurai, and in my opinion, he is the most powerful character in the whole game. I replace Ken with him. Our next battle is against these things that look like penises, so I'm scared YouTube will attack me for it, so I'm censoring these enemies. Musashi is so powerful though, and Blue, he's still sucking. We make our way into the tower and meet 2 of the king's men who survived Dark Soul's attack, a fox mage and an old man healer. We push on and see Dark Soul with everything he needs, I guess. He's about to summon a castle, but Kane shows up to stop him. Dark Soul kills Kane and disappears. Kane tells me to go to a new place, and the mage and the old healer join my team. She's Aleph, and the old guy is Tarasu. I replace Pelly with Aleph and Blue with Tarasu. Otrant, the Sane, shows up and tells of Chaos Breaker, a sword that can be made when the Sword of Light and Sword of Darkness are combined. Kane has the Sword of Darkness, but he's dead now. So now I have both the Sword of Light and the Sword of Darkness. So I'm off to the land Kane told me about to create the sword Chaos Breaker. To get there, I use the Orb of Light in front of this eye. You gotta keep that orb around. There we meet a robot named Adam who tells us Dark Soul has the key and we are too late. When we use the Orb of Light on this eye, the angel lady appears and she's like, "Go make Chaos Breaker." Like, yeah, that's why we're here. Adam attempts to lead me there, but then a robot says, "Screech, screech, kill!" Adam is also on your side now. I gave him a try, and he literally only does 1 point of damage to enemies, and he also takes so much damage when they hit him, so I benched him immediately. Aleph seemed fine, but was a bit weak and kept dying, so it was hard to level her up, so I benched her too. Tarasu, on the other hand, was a healer that had Aura, a spell that heals everyone within a certain space, making him far more useful than Lo. So I got rid of Lo and brought back Blue, who actually, with a lot of training in this level, got really good and quickly went from being a bad character to a good one. So I used the Orb of Light again, and the angel appears and tells me to read the stones and follow the instructions. So I do, and kabam, I have Chaos Breaker, a sword that looks a bit like a green lightsaber. Okay, so chapter 8 now. In the first town we go, and there's a bush with a ninja inside. Hanzo the ninja. We add him to the team, and now that's everyone. No more people can be added. I leave behind Peli. I then talk to everyone, and they're all resting or bored and wanting to fight. So here is my final team. May, the centaur, daughter of the man who trained me. Gort, the dwarf. Luke, the dumbass. Anri, powerful witch and daughter of the dead king. Blue, the dragon who is no longer a baby. Tarasu, my old man healer who still uses the term comrade, and I'm just not gonna think about that. Domingo, my flying squid man. Tao, my witchy mage with very powerful fire magic. Xylo, the werewolf. Musashi, the greatest warrior on the team, and with improved speed because of the items I gave him. And Hanzo, a ninja with a lot of speed and the ability to use some magic spells. And sadly, none of his spells ever work, so I only use attack melees with him. Oh, and not Link, our hero who isn't Link. And let me just say, not Link should be called not Luke, because look at this boy. He is not Luke. So we fight an evil king, we kill him. Remember that whole hold the Chaos Breaker at the westernmost part of the land? Yeah, neither did I, and nobody says anything here. I had to look up a guide to even see to do that, and that kinda sucked. But it raises the Tower of the Ancients where Dark Soul is raising Dark Dragon, so now we gotta go in and stop him. Let me brag about Tarasu! At this point he became so powerful, he can heal everyone on the map, no matter how far they are away from him. We see Dark Soul, and he's trying to summon Dark Dragon. We fight Dark Soul, and as he is losing, he combines himself with Dark Dragon, a 3-headed dragon that cannot move. The Dark Dragon battle goes well, as yes, he does do a ton of damage with every attack, but also he can't move. Everything in the game built up to this moment, and not Link delivers the final blow, ending the dragon, but he is stuck. He casts Egress to teleport everyone out, but he goes down with Dark Dragon. The characters are sad, and May screams his name, which makes me regret calling him not Link. We return to the elf girl, who is finishing the story. The team apparently gets led by May, now that I'm dead, which feels like a weird choice in a leader. I would have chose Tao or Anri. It is then hinted at that the elf girl is reading the story to not Link, meaning he didn't die. After the credits, we see not Link settling down with an old turtle and a robot. They ask his name, and not Link is like, "Oh, you can call me." Then he turns to the camera and says nothing, and it says "the end," and just holds that for a while. I like to imagine the old turtle's still talking to him. He's like, "Oh, the end? Strange name. What do you see back there? You okay, Sonny?" Anyway, the game is over, but that was the shining force. I love this game. but I can't deny it has flaws. I'm impressed just how much there was for such an old game. But the game did need some important fixes to make it a great game. It needs less grinding, it needs item descriptions, it needs more than the same few tracks played over and over and over again. But for all it did bad, it did so much good, and I'd recommend Shining Force to anyone, any day. An amazing Sega game.